You're watching the Channel M Breakfast Show on Thursday, the 9th of April. I'm Nikki Dean.
And I'm the excited Byron Evans.
Hey, that's no yo.
Yay! In a few minutes, all the latest sports news with Neil Barker, and we'll be hearing from Chris Bailey, hopefully on the Dog and Bone, live from Germany ahead of the UEFA Cup clash between Manchester City and Hamburg. But first, let's get, well, some debt-busting tips with Richard Fenton. Now, you were on a little bit earlier, Richard. We were looking at eggs, and cheap deals. We're also looking at saving some money, and you're going to kind of go a little bit further now and looking at some cheap deals to go out with the family over the weekend.
Yeah, burn the calories off once you've consumed all your cheap chocolate and actually get out there for the day. We've got 3 great days out for you. All of them are free to get in. You can spend a little bit extra when you get in there, and all are very local to Manchester as well. The first of which is actually my favourite, which is the Museum of Science and Industry. And over the Easter break, they've actually got the history of flight and the science of flight running throughout the entire Easter weekend. It's free to get in. There's plenty for the kids to do. They can actually make paper aeroplanes and actually launch little aircraft. There you go, there's a little fella there. I don't know quite what he's got in his hand.
He looks mesmerised,
like a little rocket or something, yeah.
And that's about to take off. And that's a great day out, and there's plenty to do. There's something like 15 different exhibits on at any one time down there. Great value, particularly as you pay nothing.
They've had some world exclusives as well. I mean, they've had some fantastic exhibits there, as you mentioned. For example, the Titanic one as well. They had ice replicas, and the Body Worlds one as well, which was slightly gruesome but fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah, world-renowned, the Body one. I think it was here for the best part of a year as well.
Yeah.
And as you say, Manchester's the place to be, though. That's, you know, if there's any city worth visiting over the Easter weekend, it's Manchester. So if you're local to the area, you're already here, and it's fantastic. There's plenty to do. That brings us nicely to the next one, actually, which I think this is Europe's largest indoor ski centre with real snow.
Real snow?
Real snow.
No
and the best thing is, if you're like me and you can't ski, you can actually rock up to Chill Factor and have a snowball fight.
What?
You can have a snowball fight. There's a small area put to one side so the kids can roll up the snowballs and have a fight. You can go down on the tubes. You don't have to be a proficient skier. Snowboarding, there's plenty of restaurants and shops, and for the kids this weekend, they've got face painting and big clown giveaways, whatever a clown giveaway is.
A clown giveaway? Do you get one to take home?
You might get your very own clown to take home and share with your friends.
I did a bungee jump in their car park once.
Oh, you would not get me doing a bungee jump.
No, me neither.
I once tried
You get me doing it again, mate, I'll tell you that. Isn't it expensive, though?
It can be expensive. If you go for the top end in terms of the facilities they've got there, such as the skiing, yes, it can get very pricey, into the hundreds of pounds. But there's plenty of cheap and free things to do, such as browsing around the shops. And the atmosphere down there is pretty fantastic as well. It's a great place to be, and there's plenty of cheap things to do. OK,
and finally, Wythenshawe Park. I used to go there a lot as a girl. Great place.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic day out. There's free entry there. I believe there's a petting zoo down there as well. So you might get down there and see some Easter bunnies and get around the whole thing. There's plenty of cafes and little bits to do for the family. And again, it's totally free of charge. I believe it's actually funded by the National Lottery as well. So it's great to go down there and give them your support over the Easter weekend.
Definitely. If the weather's nice, take the picnic rug and some sandwiches. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, take an umbrella.
Yeah, just in case.
As always, mate, thank you very much for joining us.
Happy Easter.
Very best of luck with Property Ladders.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a great Easter. Have a great few days. We'll see you next week. Hopefully you haven't turned too big time by then.
Yeah.
Good.
Time now for your news with James.
Good morning. The top stories so far this Thursday. Police are questioning 12 men picked up in terror raids here in Manchester and across the northwest. Hundreds of armed officers were involved in the operation, which began yesterday afternoon. One man was arrested on the M602 motorway and a further 4 were picked up in Cheetham Hill.
We were in the upper room when we saw the police. They were
scared about that.
We were scared, and we looked at the back, and they were at the back as well.
As far as I'm aware, they're nice people, decent people. Like, they never said anything to anybody. Me and my daughter plays out. The children play out all the time.
As a community, we all mixing together. They were just a bit different to us. They kept themselves to themselves, really.
3 homes there were searched, as well as a cyber cafe on Cheetham Hill Road. Home Secretary Jackie Smith has congratulated officers on their work, and senior police here in Manchester have also appealed for the community to stay calm.
People are frightened. They don't know what exactly is happening. The scenes they have seen really reassure them that we're all working together. We need to get to the bottom of it. And if any of them can assist in any way, if anything they know, they should fully cooperate with the police. And we will get to the bottom.
The operation was started after the country's top anti-terror officer arrived at Downing Street for a briefing. Assistant Commissioner Bob Quick was holding a document marked secret in full view of photographers. It detailed security threats that the country's facing. It's expected questions will now be asked about how long he can stay in his job, given the seriousness of his mistake. A 10-year-old boy has been arrested after brandishing a knife in front of pupils at a school playground in Whalley Range. It happened last month, but details have only just been confirmed by police. No charges have yet been brought, and the identity of the boy and school can't be reported. The police officer caught on video pushing a man to the floor who later died during the G20 protests in London is to be interviewed by the police watchdog. The Independent Police Complaints Commission's been watching these pictures, which were filmed shortly before newspaper seller Ian Tomlinson had a heart attack and died. The officer has now come forward to identify himself. The parents of a schoolgirl from Bury have been speaking of their loss after her death. Ruby Stinson lost her battle with a brain tumour on Tuesday. Her mum and dad have been telling Nina Warhurst what an inspiration she was and how important hospices are to families like that.
She was a lovely girl. She was very... she was happy all the time. She cheered everyone up and...
Very caring.
Yeah, she was.
Very caring.
Yeah. She had to go through a lot. She had a lot of treatment.
Yeah, never bothered her at all, did it?
No, she was great.
She was just always happy, and throughout when she was ill, she was just always smiling and always, happy and dancing around and laughing, and she was just really happy.
When Ruby was just 3 years old, her parents took her to the doctors because she was limping. They didn't expect the diagnosis to be a brain tumour. That was in February 2007, and Ruby was given no more than 6 months to live. But she battled on until Tuesday morning, when it was time for her family to say goodbye.
It was the waiting was the hardest, and we were told that that is one of the hardest things every parent has said, is the watching and waiting. Because although you don't want them to go, in a way it's like a release, isn't it? If they're at peace, you want them to be at peace and no more suffering.
Rex and Joanne say they took enormous strength from the excellent care that Ruby received, especially at Derrien House Children's Hospice in Chorley, where they've asked for donations to be sent.
Obviously, this last week, while we're we're waiting for her to die, effectively, it's just everything's done for you. You've got all your food, your cup of tea. You can treat it as your house, effectively. But she's got the attention of all the staff and the medication, and it's just a really nice place.
Ruby's funeral will take place at 1:45 on Tuesday at St Peter's Church on Manchester Road in Bury. Her parents say everyone is welcome to come and share the celebration of her short life. Nina Warhurst, Channel M News.
More than 200,000 people will fly off from Manchester Airport over Easter. Passenger numbers are slightly down on last year, though last-minute bookings have increased the figures. Bosses say Tenerife and the Canary Islands remain favourite destinations despite the weakness of the pound. Non-Eurozone countries like Morocco and Egypt have also gained popularity. That's it for now. More on those terror arrests in our lunchtime news from 12 noon. And don't forget Andy Crane's here as well from 5 tonight with all the day's top stories. Now, though, here's Byron and Neil with the sport.
Well, our final sports bulletin of the morning is dedicated to the Blues as Manchester City take on Hamburg tonight in European action, part of the UEFA Cup clash. And, Neil, what do you think about tonight's game? How do you think City will get on?
City could well get a draw. The vital thing is that they must not concede. That is the key in European football. They've been,
well, apart from Schalke, they've been favourites in previous games. Do you think they will be again tonight?
It could go either way. You know what German sides are like. Very difficult to play against, but City, fingers crossed for them.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. And one man who will also have his fingers crossed is Mark Hughes. But Sparky's been on top form. In fact, he's quite optimistic about next season as well.
Well, ideally, we would like to go all the way this year, and we still got a real chance of getting in the Europa League next year. by virtue of our league position. Obviously, we've got a number of games left, but we're in the mix for probably 7th place, so we'll keep that going. But yeah, ideally, we would love to win the trophy if we can, but we're up against good opposition on Thursday night, so we're hoping that we get a good positive result and then we can bring them back to Eastlands. We're going to have a full house there, and we'll have a great European night, hopefully.
Well, hopefully now, joining us live is Chris Bailey, who's on the phone live in Germany. Are you there, Chris?
Guten Morgen.
Good morning, sir, you bilingual so-and-so you. Now then.
Chris, good morning. What's the team news for the Blues tonight?
Well, there isn't any yet, Neil, because Mark Hughes is playing his cards very close to his chest, as he normally does. I was speaking to the kit man last night and trying to get some information out of him, and he said, well, I've just been told to bring 24 shirts, so he's going to leave it very late. A couple of major doubts in Wayne Bridge and Stevie Ireland, who trained separately to the rest of the squad last night. Were on European nights, you're allowed to have a sneak 15-minute preview of the training, and Ireland was going through a very rigorous session on his own, where he was standing on one leg for most of the time, trying to put weight on his left ankle, which has kept him out for a couple of games. So he's a doubt, and Wayne Bridge was doing even less than that. So I think he'll leave it to as late as possible, but Bridge and Ireland are both absolutely key if they're going to come back from here with anything.
Chris, the mood in the camp seems good, judging by Richard Dunn's comments in the paper this morning. Is that the case?
Yeah, they're all... I mean, it's been a long old haul, this, Neil, as you know. We started in the Faroe Islands last July, and I think this is match number 15 or 6. I think match number 15 tonight in the competition. So I think there's a feeling of, well, you know, we've done a lot of hard work to get here, and we're definitely not going to throw it away. And, you know, when you get to the last date of a cup competition, you can kind of sniff the final, can't you? And you know, this place, Hamburg, is a huge city, but it's really buzzing, and there's going to be 57,000 sell-out tonight and another 48,000 sell-out next Thursday for the second leg. So, you know, this is a really big tie in all senses of the word. As we said, glory is very much within touching distance for the Blues, isn't it? Yeah, it's been a long time. You know, 30 years since they've been in a quarter-final of a European competition, and as everyone knows, you know, nearly that, well, more than that, 34 years since they won anything. So, yeah, these players know they can write their names into the history books, and and they're openly talking about it. That's what they want to do. That's why a lot of the players signed for Hughes in the summer and in January. They want to win things. Chris, domestically, City, for want of a better expression, have had a bit of a fits and starts to the season so far. And away from home, their form hasn't been that good. But in Europe, it's been considerably better. Do you think that'll stand them in good stead this evening? It should do. I mean, it's a slower game in the Europe. It's visibly, even to the layman, it's a much slower game in Europe. There's more time to build up. It's less frenetic, less physical. Although the German game is probably more akin to the English game than any of the other places we've been. And Hamburg are a big, strong, fast, physical side, and you know, it will be a big test for them tonight. But yeah, they can draw on the fact that they came to Schalke and won 2-0, and in front of 50-odd thousand German fans, and if they can repeat that performance and at least keep it close. The worst they've got to do tonight is keep it close for the second leg. And like Neil said earlier, an away goal's vital. A 0-0 draw, on the face of it, sounds great, but that's the most dangerous result they could possibly get. So they've really got to go and get a goal at least. Chris, this has definitely got to be the biggest game of the season for City so far, hasn't it? Apart from when they went to Wigan, you mean? I thought he'd get the digging from Wigan, Byron, knowing him. Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right, Neil. It's the biggest game for a long time, you know. And whatever way you look at it, you know, you could even say that you know, Mark Hughes' future could rest on winning this tie. I mean, I don't think it will be, but there are plenty of people who'll be looking at it and saying it probably will. So there's lots of different angles into this tie. But whichever way you finally arrive at your destination, the destination is that it's a really, really big game. Well, City, well, Chris, that sets up my final question nicely, as we've run out of time. Now, aren't you? Yeah, I'm going to ask you the prediction. I think it'll be... I'm hoping for, you know, but a 1-1 draw would do nicely. Chris, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the phone. I know times are tough, but please stop reversing the charges. Time for a break, after which Jude runs through this weekend's gig guide. See you soon.